Hello again, everyone. This is Professor Wall, one of the lead faculty in the School of Education at Franklin University. The purpose of this video is to give you some explanations on your assignments and expectations for completing them so you can get started on them right away in case your instructor happens to hold a meet session later in this week and you have any questions about them. So the first thing I want to show you is how to access your textbook in Canvas. I know I showed this in another video, but just to reiterate it here. So when you are in Canvas, regardless of which screen you're on, if this navigation bar is open, when you click on e-reader, it will bring up your text. And our text for this course is Interactive Ed Psych Modules. When you pull up the text is organized in units like any other text. We're going to be covering unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 8 in this course. And each unit is separated into 3 modules, which are just like chapters in any other text. They just choose to call them modules. So that's kind of how our text is set up. Each week you're going to be expected to read all 3 modules in a unit. And while you are reading the textbook, I want you to always be thinking, what does this tell me about the students in my classroom? So whatever your H band is, how does this connect with my actions in the classroom? So what should I be doing because of this? And what questions do I have? If you're thinking those things while you're reading, filling out your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is going to be a lot easier. You're going to be reading about different theories and different ideas in education, and it's going to tell you, okay, here's the things you should expect from your students, but it's also going to give you information on what you should be doing because of this theory or because of these theorists, what actions you should be taking. So your unit 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. There are, let me show you this in Canvas. So if I go to the home screen, again, if I go to module 1 and it says unit 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, this is a discussion board, and you are going to read the entire unit, and then your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 has to come from all 3 modules in this unit. So you're going to tell me 5 bullets of what you learned to expect from students in your licensure area, 4 bullets of what you learned about your actions as a teacher in the classroom, 3 bullets of disconnect, disagreement, or confusion, 2 questions you have about the material, and 1 personal or professional connection you made to the material. We want you to complete all of these bullet points with details and include information from all assigned modules in the unit. These discussion posts need to be done by Thursday. Your bullet points need to be done. And then you will respond to your classmates, 2 of your classmates, by Sunday. And your responses need to be, either answer some of their questions or try to clarify some of their confusion or add to the discussion. Say, I really liked what you said about this, and I also noticed. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in our meet session, but this is kind of just to give you an idea. But as for your initial posting, make sure you complete all the bullet points with some detail, so at least 1 or 2 sentences, and then include information from all 3 modules in the unit. So for unit 1, you're going to include information from Module 2, Module 3, and Module 4, okay? The next thing is the case studies. So on your case studies, the difference here is you're not going to be responding to every single unit. You are only responding to case study Module 2. So you will only be answering questions about Module 2. So let me explain the case studies. At the beginning of each unit, there are 4 case studies. There is an early childhood case study to read. There is an elementary school case study to read. There is a middle school case study, and there is a high school case study. You are picking the case study to read based on your licensure area. So if you are in pre-K to 5, you can choose either early childhood crybaby, or early childhood for each case study. You can choose elementary school. If you're in middle childhood, you would choose the middle school case study. And if you're in AYA, you could choose middle school or high school case study to read. If you're in IS, you can choose any of those because your certification will be K to 12. Once you choose the case study that you're going to read for the week, you read that case study, and I would recommend doing that prior to reading the module. And you're going to download the case study response document. And in this document, you're going to read your case study. And as you're reading the unit, you're going to make a connection to that case study. So you're going to tell me, if you see examples of the theory or non-examples of the theory. So as you're reading, if you say, oh yeah, that reminds me of this in the case study, or oh yeah, that sounds like this in the case study. So you're trying to make connections between what you're reading in the module and what's happening in the case study. And it could be an example or a non-example. So you're going to make 5 of those as you're reading, and those can come from all 3 modules in the unit. Then when you're finished with the unit, you're going to go back to the module that's assigned. So for week 1, it's case study responses for module 2. So you're going to put in here module 2, and the title for module 2 is Context of Development. So that's what you would put here. And then you're going to answer the reflect and evaluate responses only for your case study. So when I get to the end of module 2, so I read through all of this, and when I get to the end of this module, it says case studies reflect and evaluate. If you read the early childhood crybaby case study and made connections to it, you're going to answer these 6 questions. If you read the elementary school teen case study, you're going to answer these 6 questions. If you read middle school basketball star, you're going to answer these questions. And high school cheat and fight, you will answer these 5 questions. Those are the only questions you will answer for your case study and only for module 2. And you will answer those here. If you have more answer spots than questions, I'm not expecting you to find it. If there might be less questions than there are answer spots here, that's just because they have different, as you saw, they have different amount of questions to answer. So when you're answering these reflect and evaluate questions, let me just use the crybaby, for example. It says, based on the information provided in this case study, speculate on the parenting strategies most likely used by Annie's mom and Zeta's parents. So in order to get full credit for these case studies, you're going to need to answer the question using vocabulary or a theory or concept or research from the text. So you might say, I believe Annie and Zeta's parents have permissive parenting. Then you're going to tell me what permissive parenting is, or whatever, theory or research, you're going to explain that to me a little bit. And you would say permissive parenting is this, and you would define it. Or you would say, according to the text, research says this, and you're going to just paraphrase that research a little bit. Then you're going to cite that with a page number from the text. So you're going to say, you're going to tell me what page it came from. That just helps me know that you're supporting your answer with text evidence. And then you're going to make a connection to the case study using specific details. So you're kind of giving me that reasoning for it. So you're saying, I believe that Annie and Zeta's parents had permissive parenting practices because permissive parenting is this, and here's what Annie and Zeta's parents did that showed me that it was permissive parenting. So let me give you some examples of those and what would count for full points. So we have 2 different examples here that were answering the same question. You'll notice on this one, they told me about the theory, and this one got full credit because they explain the theory, they answer the question, they cite it with text evidence, and then they also connect it with the case study. So they said, Urey's bioecological theory emphasizes the combined function, and then they explained the theory a little bit here, and then they go on to say, in Cassie's experiences, so this is from the case study, she is being affected by these things, and then they went on a little bit further. So, and then they put their page numbers in there. In example number 2, they didn't explain the theory and they didn't cite any text evidence, but they did a great job of connecting what the question was asking to the case study itself. In the second one, so here's another example. So this first one, they cited text evidence. So this one did not receive full credit, but this one did. In this one, they cited the text evidence, and they also told me like why Cassie might be experiencing these things, but they needed to tell me a little bit more about the reasons, like giving me more explanation from the text of, why children might struggle in school in relationship to their parents' divorce. So they needed to support it here with more of an explanation, like that research says this is how divorce might affect a parent. So on page 34 of the text, there are multiple reasons children might struggle in school, and then they should have given me some more detail on what those reasons were. This one had received full credit because they told me about it. So they kind of told me, okay, according to the case study, they're connecting to the case study here. And then they go on to tell me, okay, but studies show that children's well-being suffered each time a transition happens. And then they tell me a little bit about Darla, so they connect it to the case study. And then they go into detail supporting it with evidence from the text. I don't need you to cite the specific research. Sorry about that. I just need you to cite the text and give me the page number. And then the final thing is in grading these, you will be getting a lot of feedback on these. And so make sure that you're paying attention to that feedback and using that to help you get a better score the next time around. And if you need any help accessing that feedback and those comments, be sure to ask your instructor so that they know. If you have any questions about these assignments, be sure to reach out to your instructor. But I hope that this will help you get started this first part of the week so that you can be working on these and not feel like you're starting behind if your professor or instructor is not able to meet with you right away at the beginning of the week. I hope you have a great semester, and hopefully I will see some of you in class sometime in your time at Franklin University.